where Slindela Masigana is tracking the Wits protest action. Ahead of that, the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, talking earlier, condemning the killing of 35-year-old Mthokozisi Ntumba. He was speaking at the National House of Traditional Leaders. Ntumba was shot and killed during yesterday's student protest in Braamfontein. Wits students are continuing their protest today. They are outraged at yesterday's police action has sparked similar anger from students elsewhere in the country. Slindela Masigana is joining us now live from near Constitution Hill in Braamfontein in Johannesburg. Good afternoon, this lunchtime, Slindela. Earlier, just at about 1 o'clock, just before we saw the students arriving outside Luthuli House, the head offices of the governing party, the African National Congress, and handing over a memorandum of demands to the Secretary General of the party, Ace Magashule. He then addressed them himself. What did he say?
Yes, good afternoon, Bradan. We are here outside the Constitutional Court, which is one of the last stops in which students have decided they're going to make their way to today. And of course, they did make their way past the Luthuli House, as you correctly stated, and that's where they delivered a memorandum where the Secretary General, Ace Magashule, actually promised to get back to students by this afternoon, possibly, in terms of a number of meetings that the ruling party has had with government officials, in particular the Department of Higher Education as well as universities, around their demands of free higher education, of course, as well as the issue around the exclusion of those students who aren't allowed to register due to the fact that they are owing some school fees. Now, if I just move out of shot, you can see that students are seemingly waiting for somebody, an official of some sort from the Constitution Court, where they can also hand over their memorandum as well, their memorandum of demands. But let's just take a listen to what the Secretary General had to say to students who was actually in support of their protests.
Let me remind you, as students, your struggle is our struggle. Before you are students, you are part of those communities which have nothing. You come from the poor backgrounds. You come from the working class. And that's why the ANC resolved long time ago, 1955, NASREC, in our election manifesto in 1994, in our election manifesto in 2019. That's why you voted some of our parties. But as students, I must tell you one thing. When we are students, you are students, you must all work together irrespective of political parties, because your demands are the same. When you are a leader of students in the SRC, you must remember you represent the entire student body. You don't represent your own organization there. And that's how you will actually win this battle.
Well, Slindela, I understand that Ace Magashule also spoke about the ruling party's concern over this whole matter that's been going on in terms of financial inclusion.
I certainly had an opportunity, Bradan, to engage with the Secretary General after he addressed the students in support of their protest, telling them that they are united in the same cause and that they should continue. But I said to him, it's the very same ruling party that has resolved on fee-free higher education that is failing students in 2021. The ANC has had a number of policy conferences where they have resolved on that issue of free higher education. They say they support it, it's in their policy documents, but year on year we're seeing students having to once again take to the streets in order to have their demands heard, in order to voice their concerns, their frustrations around every year having to deal with the same issue around fees, exorbitant fees that the black child in particular cannot afford. We know that the coronavirus pandemic has had a devastating impact on many families across the country. Many people simply cannot afford to pay these fees. And so he said that it's going to take some time, but the ANC certainly is still committed to the resolution of fee-free higher education. When that will be, he could not give me an answer. Let's take a listen to the Secretary General once again.
The African National Congress National Working Committee met yesterday because of this crisis. And we discussed and we interacted with the president of the ANC, the president of the country. This morning, the subcommittee of the ANC National Executive Committee met at 8 o'clock. And we have engaged government. I'm sure if the Minister of Higher Education has not spoken, we have directed government to find money and resources for your demands, because your demands are genuine demands as students. So definitely from today, government is going to announce, after engaging the African National Congress, because your demands are genuine, you must continue with your demands. You must not think about yourself as individuals, those who have. You must think about those who don't have. And you must make sure and understand that the struggle continues. Don't demobilize people, don't demobilize students. Ensure that you do your work and don't fight only at Wits. Solidarity throughout the country, because your struggle is the same.
8 minutes to 2 o'clock. Thank you very much, Lindela Masigane there and Constitution Hill in Braamfontein. A group of Wits University students waiting to be received by somebody from the Constitutional Court as they continue their protest action today. They were at the ANC head offices a short while ago.